thank you. Tim, first I want to say congratulations on your last fight with Tyrell Fortune. Very dominant win. You put him out in the first round, and he was highly touted as an up-and-coming prospect going into that fight. So do you see this as like a rebirth of your career?
Yeah, probably. A lot of people wrote me off. A lot of people did going into that fight, and it kind of put a little chip on my shoulder. As in, seems like everyone forgot the type of people I fought in the UFC. The two guys I fought when I came to Bellator, and just because I got lost in horrific fashion to them, seemed to think that maybe I was on my way out, and I just didn't want to be I did not want to be a stepping stone, and my back was against the wall. If I lost that fight, I probably would have been back on the regional level. And if I was back on the regional level, I think I would have considered, it was probably time to go back and start my, career after fighting, and probably would have been done. So definitely put a fire under my rear, and got a great outcome and got another chance to kind of hopefully work my way up the ladder.
Well, Matt Mitrione would be a huge step up the ladder if you're able to get the W over him. So how do you see that fight going in your head?
In my head, in a perfect world, would be, get into a grind situation, get on the fence, find a good opening for a takedown, and kind of get doing something Bader wasn't able to do, get a finish with a TKO.
That would be exciting. We'd look forward to that. But what about the fact that Matt Mitrione holds career wins over people like Fedor Emelianenko? Does that play into the back of your head at all?
No, not really. He's got some great wins. I consider some of my wins some good wins. He's definitely got talent in his hands and his athletic ability to take out pretty much anybody. But same thing. He's definitely got holes in his game like I do, and hopefully I can exploit them.
Well, with career wins over the likes of Marcin Tybura and Shamil Abdurakhimov, I don't think anybody can doubt you. So have a great performance on Friday. We look forward to seeing it.
All right, thank you.
Our next question comes from Steven Morocco. Your line is live.
Hey, Tim. When you said you were close to considering starting your other career, what is that career?
It's actually still I do it to this day. Every fall and harvest, I go back to Minnesota and I spread dry fertilizer. I work for a cooperative in an agronomy plant. It's what I went to school for, to be an agronomist, and then I went to school again to be and got my degree in criminal justice. But my heart's in the Midwest. The fields of the corn fields of the Midwest is where I love to be, and so I get a lot of working hours doing that.
Does that provide a good living?
It does. It's all about hours for that. During the winter, you really don't do much, but during the fall and summer, you get a lot of hours. I think last fall, I was averaging 100-hour work weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have like a 1 year, 5 year plan at this point in your career, your MMA career?
Yeah, probably more like a 3 year plan. It's I'm 35. People seem to think I'm like 40 or something, and that's why maybe I was clean shaven and remind people I'm not as old as I always appear. It's definitely things. A 3 year. I think 3 years left on the career. If I can make it to 38, that'd be a pretty solid goal. Get anywhere between 8 to 12 fights left in me, and see where everything ends up. But it's definitely getting to the point where I'm starting to think about life beyond fighting, and fighting's a means to the end. Even though I love to compete, I've been a competitor my whole life. It's definitely in the 3 year plan.
Do you think about that a rematch with Chet Congo often, now that you guys are sharing the same? He's the one that sort of introduced you to the promotion, and he's obviously within reach.
Yes, that's if things go well, go my way against Matt. I think that'd be. I'd love the opportunity to do that again. I think there's a fight card in September. I'd love to do a quick turnaround, and get another fight in and win or lose. But that'd be I think that'd be a good fight to, kind of show myself, kind of prove to myself, kind of that I've still got it and get it. And win against Czech would put you right back in line for maybe a title contention.
Do you think that Bader's going to be able to hold on to the heavyweight title this year?
I'm not sure what Bader's going to do. I hope he chooses here pretty quick what weight class is going to go, because it's kind of putting a traffic jam in the light heavyweight and heavyweight. So hopefully here pretty soon that we're going to find out if he's going to go keep light heavyweight or go heavyweight and kind of open up either one of the weight classes so it can get him moving again.
Thank you, Tim.
Our next question comes from Andrew McCarroll.
Hi, Tim. Hope you're well. I noticed on your Instagram, amongst other things I wish I hadn't seen, that you're training with Roy Nelson and Francis Ngannou. Where do you measure yourself against guys like that when you're training with them day in and day out?
I measure myself with when I'm on my game. I can compete with anybody, and it shows in the practice room. And any athlete who's honest with himself knows that some days are off, some days are on, but you're on days, that's where you know where you're actually at. And what I said after my win against Tyrell got brought up, something like that. And I was like, I'm hanging with these guys just fine in the practice room, but sometimes it just doesn't come out on fight day. But you can lay it the way, you can word it however you want. Just sometimes the fighter that I know I am, doesn't always show up, and it's just a battle within yourself to make sure that that's the one who shows up here on Friday.
Fighters are always talking about it's like going to war. It's like going to war. Or someone who is actually a combat veteran yourself, are those two experiences actually comparable in any way, or is there anything you can take from your experience as a combat veteran that you can bring into the cage?
It's, fighting's easy compared to driving down the roads of Iraq. But there is some comparability to it, as in when you're on the the lines, ready to drive out, ready to get your mission going. You got anxiety, you got some anxiety, you got some adrenaline. But once you get on the road and start driving, everything calms down, you get back to normal. So that's very comparable to a fight. You're on the walkout, the first couple 30 seconds of a fight, you're all high, you're tense, you're trying to calm yourself down. Eventually kind of stuff just rolls in and your training kicks in. You fall back on your training, just like I guess in the military sense.
And finally, probably the most important question, will we see the mustache again?
Maybe in the future. Well, we're going to be seeing here. I actually might be here in the fall here. Probably be rejoining the military again. It was always in my long-term plans to do it. And I think I took about a 4-year hiatus, and now, got a little girl on the way. So thinking about the future stuff now. And so I can't grow a beard anymore in the military. So the only facial hair I'd be able to grow is a mustache. So you'll probably be seeing it here again.
Best luck with your fight. Pleasure to speak to you, Tim. Congratulations on the new arrival as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question comes from Ben Keeley.
Hi, Tim. Congrats again on the new arrival. And you got married this year as well, so congrats on that.
Yep, thank you.
How does it feel to be a married man?
It's life doesn't change too much, except you say yes, dear, a little bit with a little more effort.
Fantastic. You mentioned earlier that you trained with Francis Ngannou. For someone who's never experienced his punching power, how can you describe it? Can you put that into words?
It's like getting hit with a truck. He's dropped me with a couple liver shots a handful of times. And he's rattled my head, rattled the brain around a little bit. He hits hard. And the thing is, even when he's not trying to hit you hard, he hits hard. So it's just one of those natural things that you can't really teach. You have it. Like I can't throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, no matter how much you teach me. It's kind of the same thing with him. It's just natural.
Do you still bounce at strip clubs?
No, I do not now. No, ever since I moved out of Fargo, no more working there. My only job is coming back to the Midwest for spring and fall for planting season and harvest, and get about 3 weeks of work in each fall and harvest, then go back to Vegas.
During your bouncing days, do you remember any particularly rowdy clientele, or do you remember like any times where it got a bit ropey, I guess? Has it ever gotten dangerous, I suppose, is what I'm trying to ask?
Oh yeah, at the club, yeah. There's been a couple knives pulled. We had a couple of handgun violations. We had a guy actually got mad because he was on our ban list because he caused troubles. He walked out the door and popped a couple shots off at the club. So I mean, little Fargo does sometimes have his bad apples, but yeah, overall it was pretty calm. But about once a week there'd be someone who would get their beer muscles on and would want to fight somebody.
Well, that sounds almost as dangerous as sparring with Francis Ngannou. Did you develop any new hobbies during the coronavirus lockdown?
Yeah, building, gaining a gut. You don't get a lot of exercise when you're driving around in tractors. I can tell you that. When the shutdown happened in March, I went back to Minnesota and started working right away. So I was working from middle of March till just probably July 1st, and that's when I got, hey, you're probably going to be fighting here in August, so you probably should get back and start working out. I'm like, yeah, sounds good. I probably need to anyways.
All right, fantastic, Tim. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Our last questions will come from Kevin Vardes.
Hey, Tim, Kevin from Overtime Heroics. How you doing?
Doing good.
All right, so, Ryan Bader is actually defending his light heavyweight championship in the next pay-per-view in Bellator 244. So who do you think, if there had to be a number one contenders fight, would be fighting for the heavyweight championship? If there had to be a number one contenders fight?
Minikoff. That's probably no joke. I wouldn't, even though Czech beat him, I'm still putting Minikoff as the number one contender.
So how far do you see yourself from title contention at the moment? How many fights do you think you need to win to get a shot at Ryan Bader possibly?
Probably 2 solid wins. Could possibly do it, but maybe 3. It depends on the opponents. And, a win against Matt would put me in the driver's seat to maybe possibly get a rematch with, Czech, which, hopefully that one, if you get 2 wins like that, then you could possibly be in the title contention, considering that Czech and Vitali both fought to get there in that title. So, somewhere around there, I would say.
All right, so you fought Vitali almost on like 12 hours notice per se.
Like eight.
Right? Yeah. So obviously not a lot of time for game planning. You just had to go in there, fight on just your wit. From watching that first fight, do you know how you can beat him, or was he actually like you experienced the game plan he had, and it's like a pretty tough game plan?
You don't fight a guy in his level on 8 hours notice. I figured that out the hard way. It would be a good mindset thing. Like if we fight again, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that could happen already happened. So I don't need to worry about that. I can just concentrate on, trying to implement a good game plan, with a little more time, and try to not get tossed around like a rag doll.
All right, last question is, you emphasize that against Matt Mitchell you plan on using your wrestling. So, are you going to go in looking for the takedown, or are you going to, gauge your distance and see where his weak point is and take him down?
I'm not going to rush wrestling. I'm not going to push wrestling. There's one thing, I don't mind losses in fighting or in anything, as long as you learn something from them. And my Czech Congo fight, I definitely learned something. I wasn't feeling comfortable on my feet the first handful, 20 seconds in, whatever, and I rushed in for a takedown that wasn't there. I tried pushing something that wasn't there, and it didn't it ended up being the demise of me. And I'm not going to make that mistake twice. I don't want people to over-rest or to really take my wrestling. When I said I plan on wrestling, it's not going to go push wrestling. I'm going to stand in front of him and wait for an opening. I don't care. I mean, I might have to take a couple punches to the head with a little bit of a licking to find it, but I'm not going to push anything that's not there.
All right, and we're wishing you good luck from the Overtime Heroics group. All right, good luck.
All right, thank you.